welcome to Amble Ramblings. So let's just pretend like I'm not using really cheap tech right now, and that I've actually got like really phenomenal technology here. Anyways, so I decided to start doing a podcast because I'd never done a podcast before, and I figured I'd just share with you what I've been learning lately about God, and about how to read the Bible and stuff. The first thing is, do you ever straighten out my glasses? Sorry if that was like blowing noise in my microphone. Do you ever wake up one day and you're just like, I really don't feel like reading the Bible? I know I do, so I'm pretty sure you do. But so I was wondering what to do with that, and I got struck with the idea that if you ask any secular person what marriage is, they'll define marriage as commitment, basically. That's what love is. That's what true love is, at least, is commitment. Gosh, this is not comfortable. And so I thought about that, and I thought, well, if we are the bride of Christ, if the church is the bride of Christ, maybe when I don't feel like reading my Bible, maybe it's because I'm not committed. And in Psalms 51:12, it says, "Restore unto me the joy of your salvation, and grant me a willing spirit to sustain me." So that's talking about when we're not into the Bible at that time. We're just like, no, I don't really want to I don't feel like doing this at all. And I've been there. And do I think that this whole idea of commitment is 100% true? No. I actually think, if anything, I'm wrong. I think that the correct way of dealing with this is actually to turn from your self-indulging ways and change your focus to Christ. Okay, no one's coming, right? Good. Okay. Just don't want anyone to interrupt me in my studio. But when you can't even do that, when you're so wound up in the world, and you're like, there's no way I can change my focus. I'm like, I can't even. I have the hardest time just turning the page on the Bible. Then be committed. Just say, I'm gonna do it no matter what. It may be boring to me. I might be wanting to watch, Doctor Who or whatever, but I'm gonna do it all the same. The other thing I wanted to share with you is something that struck me rather recently. And it was the idea that a lot of times when I'm reading the Bible, I try to read it verse, chapter by chapter, which is good. But the other day I was reading it, and I read the chapter, and then I stopped it right in my tracks, and I said, what does the verse say? So I read this individual verse, thought about it, and I was like, whoa, that's a really good verse. And then I thought, well, how does it apply to the chapter? I'd never really done this before. I never thought to do this before. But, it literally blew me away changed the way I read the Bible on the spot. And I was just like, wow. I'm going to show you an example in, where am I? 1 Corinthians 10. At verse 31, it says, "So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it to the glory of God." Wow, what a good verse. What a good verse. And I read that, and I was like, okay, that's good. What else does it say? It continues on to say, "Do not cause anyone to stumble, whether Jews, Greeks, or the church of God." So then how does the first verse, whatever you do, do it to the glory of God, apply to don't stumble. Don't let anyone stumble. Think about it. I mean, how does that connect? I would say it connects because we're supposed to be always for the glory of God so that we never let anyone stumble. so many people skip over that second verse and are just like, whatever you do, do it to the glory of God. But then you say why, and it's so that no one else would stumble. And then the next verse says, even as I try to please everyone in every way, for I am not seeking my own good, but the good of many. Wow. So whatever you do to the glory of God, so that you can please, and not so that you can please other people, not just so that you can not cause anyone else to stumble, but so that you may do it to the good, not by your own good, but to the good of many, so that you can affect many people rather than just these few. Or am I reading that right? Even as I try to please everyone in every way, for I am not seeking in my good. You can tell this is a podcast because I'm like rereading and stuff, which is what a podcast is. I just ramble. That's why this is called Amble Ramblings. Amble Ramble. I thought that was a good title. So, what I want to encourage you to do is try to take the Bible verse by verse and chapter by chapter and paragraph. Divide it up into chunks. I don't care how you do it. Just try to divide it up and not only study just, the whole chapter or just that verse, but try to study everything in between. Try to study the second verse and the verse before it and see how they all relate, because you can get so much more out of it that way than if you just do it with the chapter. Let's see if I can find that other one. Hang on. Hang on, where was that? Okay, here's the one this is the verse that threw me away. Okay, I'm just going to read the whole chapter. Now it is required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful. I care very little if I am judged by you, or by any human court. Indeed, I do not even judge myself. My conscience is clear, but that does not make me innocent. It is the Lord who judges me. Therefore, judge nothing before the appointed time. Wait until the Lord comes. He will bring to light what is hidden in the darkness, and will expose the motives of the heart. At that time, each will receive their praise from God. Okay, that's a pretty good chapter, Don't let people judge you. But then, this was actually when I had trouble reading the Bible. So this is all tied together, is simple ways to read the Bible. I think I'll title the podcast that. Or simple truths to reading the Bible. I'll figure something out. I stopped and I tried to read it verse by verse because I couldn't focus on it. I was tired one night. Or one morning or something. And I read, I care very little if I am judged by you or by human court. Indeed, I do not even judge myself. Whoa. Okay, so I care. Paul doesn't even care. This is in Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 4:3. Go get it. Pause me. Go find your Bible. He says, I don't even care if you judge me. I don't even judge myself. And then you're like, okay, why? But you gotta, I have the hardest time not judging myself. And then it says, my conscience is clear, but that does not make me innocent. It is the Lord who judges me. So he says, I'm not going to judge myself. I'm not going to care if you judge me. The Lord will judge me. And I'll be content with that. As far as I know, my conscience is clear. How often have I judged myself? I don't need to judge myself. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say to you guys. I hope you bookmark coming out. I hope you enjoyed Amble Ramblings, the first ever podcast, the official podcast of Project John 316. I have no idea whether to look here or over there. You tell me. So like for here and comment for over there. Or just like and comment so that I can promote myself. Or subscribe, that's even better idea. Should I be talking too much? Am I talking too much? I'll shut up now.